Hey everyone, hi guys. My name is Jada and welcome to Get Your Play Online. So today we will be painting cherry blossom trees. So this activity we will not be using paintbrushes. And I know some of you are questioning, so what are we going to paint with if we're not using paintbrushes? We are actually going to be using Q-tips. So this is what my cherry blossom tree looks like. And for this activity, you're going to need a canvas or some cardstock paper. I'm using a canvas. You're going to need 21 Q-tips or cotton swabs, some rubber bands, and you're also going to need brown acrylic paint, hot pink acrylic paint, light pink acrylic paint, and you're also going to need some white paint. And you will need a paper plate or some type of paper to mix your paint on. So since we are painting, it is important to wear some clothes that you're okay with getting paint on, and also you want to lay something down so you won't get paint on your table. So let's jump into the activity. So I'm just going to tilt you guys down. And we're going to make sure all our supplies are laid out on the table. So let's make sure we have our paint in front of us, right here. We make sure we have our Q-tips, and we also have our rubber bands. So before we begin painting, we are going to make our Q-tip brushes. So since we are painting with 4 colors, we need 4 sets of Q-tip brushes. And to do this, we're going to need to combine 5 Q-tips together using a rubber band. So we're going to get 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then we're going to wrap the rubber band around all 5 Q-tips several times until the Q-tips are held tightly together. So we're going to get our rubber band. And it might be good to get some extra just in case your rubber bands pop. So I have my 5 Q-tips. And we're going to just wrap the rubber band around them. So it should look like 5 small circles when your Q-tips are tied together. So we're going to have to do this 3 more times so we can have 4 Q-tips brushes. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And 5. Okay, this one is done. So once you're finished, you should have 4 sets of Q-tip brushes. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, and there should be 1 Q-tip left over, but you need this 1 Q-tip a little later, so we can just set our Q-tip brushes to the side. And now that our Q-tip brushes are made, we're going to add our paint to our plate or our paper, whichever one you are using. So I have a piece of paper today. So I am going to add some white paint. And we are putting the paint on our plate or paper down. That way we can just only have out what we need and we can put the rest of the paint to the side. And you want to pour about a quarter size amount of each color. And the colors are, again, hot pink, light pink, white, and brown. And we want to keep them spaced out and make sure that our colors don't touch yet. So the brown paint will be for our tree trunk and our branches of our cherry blossom tree. And the hot pink, light pink, and white paint will be for our petals. So I have all the colors out in about quarter size amounts. And once again, it's all acrylic paint. So now that we have all our paint out, we are going to paint our tree trunk. So using one of our Q-tip brushes, we're going to dip our brush in the brown paint. And then we're going to paint a thick triangle at the center bottom of our paper or canvas. So we're going to dip it in the brown. And you want to get a good amount on there like this. And we're going to paint a triangle in the center bottom of our paper or canvas. So here's my triangle. So this is the base of our tree trunk. And to draw the triangle, if you're having a little bit of trouble, you want to draw a line at the bottom. And then from the line, we are going to draw an upside down V to connect each point, and that's what makes a triangle. A triangle is 3 sides. So using our same brown Q-tip brush, we are going to paint a rectangle shape going up the middle of our paper, and we're going to start it within our triangle. So I'm going to show you guys how to do that. And this is the rest of our tree trunk. So we're going to start dipping in the paint a little bit more, and we're going to start at the bottom again. And then we're just going to do one side up. And we're going to do another side up. And then we drew a line across the top. So now that we have the shape, we are going to fill it in. So dip it in the brown again, and we can just paint how you would paint with a paintbrush, but we're going to paint with the Q-tips. And we're just going to paint up and paint our tree trunk. And a really cool thing about painting with these Q-tips is that you create these different lines and different textures with your paint, and it kind of really does look like a tree trunk, which is really cool. And your tree trunk can be short, it can be tall, it can be big, and it can be small. So however you want your tree trunk to be. Okay, and this is my tree trunk. So now it's time to paint our branches. So we're going to use that one Q-tip that was left over, and we're going to dip it into the brown paint. And we are going to make our tree branches. And our lines can be straight or wavy. And it could also be thick or small or long or short. So to paint our tree branches, you're kind of making letter Y's starting from your tree trunk. So you draw one line. And then you draw a smaller line. So it kind of looks like a Y. So you want to do that all up the top and the sides of your tree trunk. So I'm going to just draw my Y's all over. And if you want to, you can also branch off the other branches. So like how I have this one, I'm going to draw another branch with another Y, and it kind of makes some longer branches. And they're all different sizes and different shapes. So this is our tree trunk and our branches. So when you're finished painting your tree trunk and branches, we're going to let it sit and dry for a couple minutes, and we'll make sure we set our wet Q-tips to the side. So while our tree trunk and branches are drying, I'm going to show you some pictures of some cherry blossom trees, and it looks really cool. And I'm also going to tell you some fun facts. So here is a picture of an actual cherry blossom tree, and it looks really, really cool. So if you didn't know, cherry blossom tree leaves and their flowers are edible. I've never eaten a cherry blossom leaf, but have you? Here's another picture of a cherry blossom tree of some of the leaves, and you can see how it's like pink and white, and it looks really, really cool. And you know, cherry blossom tree leaves bloom once a year in the spring. And guess how long they bloom? Only for about 2 weeks. So when you see them, you have to catch them because they'll only be there for 2 weeks. Here's another picture of a cherry blossom tree. And their leaves are usually like red, pink, and white, but they can come in other colors. So have you seen another cherry blossom tree other than one that looks like this? And cherry blossom trees typically the leaves only have 5 petals on each flower, and that is why we're using 5 Q-tips to make our brush, so they can mimic the petals of a cherry blossom tree. And here is cherry blossom trees in Washington, D.C., and they have a festival every year where you can come and see the trees for those 2 weeks while they're blooming. And here is another pretty picture of the cherry blossom trees in Washington, D.C. Have any of you guys ever been to Washington, D.C. to see the cherry blossoms? It's really, really cool. So our paper is still drying, and I want to do something fun with you guys. So we're going to close our eyes, and we're going to picture a cherry blossom tree. So just picture that you're in a field of cherry blossom trees. What does the cherry blossom leaf feel like? Is it soft? Is it crinkly? Are the leaves really, really big, or are they small? What do you think they smell like? Do you think it smells really, really sweet? Or do you think it might smell sour? What does it taste like? Is the cherry blossom petals sweet? Are they bitter? Are they sour? Are they salty? What colors do you see? Do you see the pink ones? Or do you see some white ones? Or maybe some red ones? How does it make you feel? Does it make you feel happy when you're looking at the cherry blossom tree? Is it really, really big, like super tall, that it looks like it's touching the sky? Or is it really, really short? I don't know. So that was really, really fun, and I think our tree trunk and our branches are dry, so we're going to move on to the next step. So I'm going to tilt you guys down. And now that our tree trunk is dry, it's time to paint our cherry blossom leaves. So once again, the leaves are hot pink, light pink, and white. And the combination of those 3 colors will make one cherry blossom leaf. And like I said before, that the Q-tips, the ends of the Q-tips are round, and the roundness looks a lot like the cherry blossom leaves. And the 5 Q-tips will mimic the 5 petals on each leaf. So we want to dip our Q-tip in the hot pink paint, because that is our first color we're going to start with. So we're going to dip it in the hot pink paint. And you want to make sure you have a good amount on there like this. And you just want to just dab it on the leaves, on the branches of the tree. So just want to dab around like this. We're not going to paint like a regular paintbrush, how we did for our branches. We're just going to just dab it. You can dab it on the branches and also around the branches. And another cool thing about this is that the more you dab, it creates, like, some of the colors are lighter or darker, and it also creates really different textures, which is really cool. So you just want to keep dabbing around. And you can just keep dipping into the hot pink paint. And don't worry about if space is left over, because remember, we have 2 more other colors to put in our tree. Okay, and I think that is really good. So next we're going to use our white pink paint. So let's get a new brush, a new Q-tip brush, and we're going to dip it in our light pink paint and get a good amount. And we're going to do the same thing we did with our hot pink paint. And it is okay if the paint overlaps or touches, because it creates a different shade of pink, which is really, really nice. So we're just going to dab like we did before. And it's already coming together and looking really, really nice. So now that our light and our hot pink are done, we're now going to go with our white paint and do the same thing. And as I said before, when the white paint mixes with the hot and light pink paint, it creates a different color. So it is okay if the paints touch. So you want to get a good amount on there, like this, and just dab it on there. And the white paint also kind of blends the hot and light pink together a little bit. So I think it's really important to use the white paint. You see the difference from this side, which I did the white paint on, and then without the white paint, you see how it kind of flows together over here. And this side just needs a little bit more work. So we're going to put the white paint over here. And because we're not using so much paint, you can still see the branches come through our cherry blossom leaves and petals. So our cherry blossom tree is finished and it is beautiful. Here is my finished cherry blossom tree. If you did yours, you can take a picture and leave it in the comments below so we can all share what our cherry blossom trees look like. And you want to sit your paper or canvas to the side to dry. And once it's dry, you can hang it up and have your own very own cherry blossom tree that will always be in bloom, and you can always look at it and just think about the textures and the colors and what it tastes like. Or maybe you can go and visit some cherry blossom trees on your own time. Thank you for creating with me again, and I hope to see you guys in the next activity.